Hi guys, it's Lanikia. I am coming to you with Manifest Season 1, Episode 8 called Point of No Return. This episode, you know what? Maybe because the last episode was so good, that I just maybe because the last two were so good, I just expected more from this one. So I don't know, but let me recap, because maybe by the time I get done recapping, I will talk myself into liking this episode a bit more than I did, because I did. It was okay, but I don't know. So we start off by, of course, they're on the plane. So they're on the plane, Cal just tells them that they've touched down in New York. This is when, they flash back, and Cal is just telling them that he's worried because New York is cancer. New York is school pressures at school. New York is just so much stress for him. So he was really worried about going to school and everything. But Ben and Mick tell him everything's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You're going to get through it. So then we show them in present day, and Ben is talking to Mick and Michaela, and he's just telling her about them just being worried because Cal is going to go back to school tomorrow, so he's nervous about it. Grace wants him to go. Olive says that, she'll take care of him, she'll watch over him. The doctor says she thinks it's a good idea. Cal is excited about going back to school. So Ben is the only real hold up on waiting on the approval for, okay, he's going. But Ben is a bit nervous because, it's been a while since Cal has had to go to school or anything. So that's Ben's just worried, because he doesn't want him to be different. He doesn't want people to treat him differently because he was on the plane. So Ben, that's all it is with Ben. He's just worried about him. So then we see that Michaela tells Ben, don't worry about it, plus Ben is like, what if he has an episode, we don't know what the government's doing to Marco and all of them, so what if he has an episode at school? And Michaela's like, we're gonna find it. And she also tells Ben that they need to be more discreet and careful. Like, she knows he wants to find everything, Marco for Cal, and, he's willing to take risk and everything. But she says, we got to assume that we're being watched, and we have to play this more carefully than what Ben has really been doing. And everything, because they don't want to find the passengers and then the government know they're coming, and they're, she's just like, we don't want to be in any more danger or put anyone else in danger by tipping our hand to the government. We want to find the passengers and then the government not know what's coming and everything. But Ben is pretty much just like, he'll do whatever he has to do for Cal. And I understand what Ben's saying, but I also get Michaela's point. Like, you have to be more careful with this. The best thing for Cal is for you to take things slow. Well, not slow, but take things as they come, so that you can be able to be okay with, not more things happen with you, between you and the government. Look at my Hershey baby going to sleep. Okay. So then we see that the government, whoever is holding Cal, I think they were called Singularity. But so they're doing, not holding Cal, but holding Marco. They're doing an experiment, and so they go to the doctor. The guy goes to the doctor, and he says, I need you to expedite this. In 18 hours, I need you to be working on Marco again. And the doctor was like, whoa. And this is the first time I've seen this doctor be like, we can't do that. Like, he was hesitant about doing that. He was like, he needed more time. And he's like, no, we don't have that much time, because they're onto us. And Vance has went dark, so we don't know where he is. And we think, they think Vance is onto them, so they're worried about Vance. So that's that part. So they're worried about Vance, and that he'll find out and shut them down. So I don't know if this is a government. I don't know who this is. I guess we'll find out. Ben is with Grace, and he says yes, Cal can go to school, so she's excited about that. And then he tells her he wants them to go on date night, because he thinks it's important for them to get their chemistry back, get all their their good feelings for each other back by going on date night, which they don't have bad feelings for each other. They're just it's been 5 years for Grace, and it's been no time for him, so this is just a bonding thing for them. And I have a friend who always goes on date night with her husband. So I think that's a cute idea. So then Olive tells them, so then we see Olive comes down and Cal comes down, and Grace is like, I'm gonna drop Cal off at school, and he's like, I want to walk or whatever, and Olive was like, he's already the guy with the kid with cancer. He's the kid from 828. Don't make him be the kid whose mom drops him off at school, And so they agree to let Olive walk with him, and she's like, I'll take care of him. I'll look at him. I'll check on him at lunch. She'll do what she needs to do to take care of him. So they agree to that, and so it makes Cal just feel a little bit more normal around the other kids, So Mick hears, so Mick is talking to Jared, and she's just telling him, they're just talking, and so she hears, when she's walking away from Jared, she hears a voice, and it says, "Don't lose him." So then they think she thinks it's about Jared, like, don't lose Jared. So Vance trips the alarm so Ben is going to work, and the security fire alarm goes off, so they're having a fire drill. So Vance trips the alarm, has tripped the alarm to speak to Ben, and he tells Ben pretty much that he's not getting help with the NSA. He's doing this pretty much on his own, but he needs Ben's help because the data that he gave him, remember last week on the USB, he can't read it. It's just a bunch of numbers to him, so he doesn't understand it, and he needs Ben to read it because Ben is the numbers guy and everything, so that he can understand what it is. So Ben, he doesn't really know if he trusts Vance or whatever. So, but I'm like, you need him, so just get over with it. And I understand what Ben is feeling, because he's like, he told Vance, like, you treated us like suspects, and then I could understand Vance's point of view when he said, I was trying to protect my country. So I could understand both of their points of view, but y'all gonna have to work for each other now. So push your egos to the side and work with each other to figure out what is going on. So then he gives Ben the USB to find out what's on it. So there's a jumper that's earlier when I said, so Jared and Mick were talking, and they find out there's a jumper. His name is Harvey. He was on flight 828, and the jumper is saying that they think that Mick can help him because he's on the same flight. So earlier when Mick heard that voice, don't lose him, or save him. What is it? I'm sorry, y'all. Don't lose him. She thinks it's about Jared, but then when she gets to the building and everything, she's like, well, maybe it's about Harvey because he was on the flight. She goes up there to try to talk to him and everything. And Harvey pretty much tells her, he's talking in riddles, so they can't come out right and say what, like, they're hearing voices because there's other people around. It's not just Jared around. So they're talking in code, like she's telling him, I understand what you're going through. And so he tells her, if you understand what I'm going through, then you will understand this. And he jumps off the building. And so she's just like, I was supposed to save him and I didn't save him. So that's who she thinks she's supposed to save. So then Ben talks to the professor. So he goes to work, he downloads a little file and everything, and there's numbers on there. He understands most of it, but there's this one number on there that he's not understanding. So remember Professor Fiona last week, who is the reason that company is doing everything to the people, because they're using her research and everything and trying to prove that it's true. So he calls her and he's like, hey, they got numbers and they're using voltage. And she says, oh, they're trying to replicate the callings, like all the callings, the voices, all of that. They're trying to replicate that. And she said they're using the shock voltage and all of that to try to do that. So she's concerned. She was like, we got to stop them from doing that. That's very dangerous. And so Ben is like, I'm going to need your help. And I guess she's all in. At first I was like, why is he calling her? Like, maybe she's not with them, but she looks to be all in with them. So, so then Ben goes to his boss, Ronnie, because he needs extra level of information that he can't get, like where the company, what company it is that's doing that and everything. So he needs that extra level of information. So he goes to his boss Ronnie, and Ronnie tells him, well, he offers to help him do extra work for the database or what. Listen, it was very technical. I'm not a technical person, so I can follow it, but I can't like tell you. That's so because I'm doing a recap, but I can't tell you exactly like the terms that they're gonna use with it. But what it boils down to is they need a list of companies that the JP Williams, the company that Ben works for, is working with, so they can find out exactly what company it is that's doing the experiments, or where the building is located that they could possibly be doing the experiments at. So Ben is trying to get this because that's above his pay grade, but he knows Ronnie would have access to it. So Ronnie is like, no, I can't give you, I can't let you work on that. And he like, help me on that because that's supervisor work, and that's his subordinate. But so Ben is like, we don't have to tell anyone. And Ronnie is like, we're so far behind. It would help him if Ben did it. So he gives Ben access to be able to do it. So Ben is able to look at the different companies and everything. And he also sees, when Ronnie is doing that, he also sees where Ronnie keeps his IDs to get in and out of the building and everything. So Mick talks to Harvey. I already did that part where Mick talked to Harvey, and he did end up jumping off of the building. Unfortunately, she wanted to talk him down, but he did end up jumping off the building. So then we go to Olive is on the phone with Grace, and she's just recapping her mom on everything. She said Cal has done a great job at school. Everything's okay. She's gonna check on him at lunch. So then Grace bumps into Lourdes, and as they're bumping into each other, Grace sees that Lourdes has a pregnancy kit and everything. So she's like, yeah, I said when when she's done with her thesis, so she and Jared are wanting to start working on a family. So Mick and Jared go to Harvey's apartment, and they're looking around because they're trying to figure out what was he talking about. Why did he say he could save them by jumping? Why is he thinking that would help whoever it was, and who are they that he's trying to save? Because as he was jumping, he says the deaths are on him, and he thought he could save them by jumping. So they go to his bedroom, and they see that he has in red, he's wrote in red, I am the angel of death. And so they're like, what is this? They're trying to figure out what's going on. So then they look at newspaper clippings, and they see that Rick and Sue, there's people named Rick and Susan who were at this bar that Harvey was at, and he clipped out the newspaper clippings because apparently he was at the bar with them, and he has their death obituaries and everything clipped out. So it looks like something's going on with those two, and the fact that they died made them say, well, maybe he feels connected to their deaths for some kind of way. So they go to investigate that at the bar because they see that Harvey had on a t-shirt that was the same that was the name of the bar that they were all at on social media and everything. So we go to Cal being at lunch, and he has a good day at lunch. Everyone treats him like a normal, kid, so he doesn't feel like the weird child, and everything. So then Ben and Vance meet up again, and Ben is like, I know what, the place, they know the person that is doing the experiment. So now that they know the person or whatever, they need to find out where the building is to get to the passengers, the 11 passengers that are missing. So they said the best way to do that is because they want to work with Fiona's experiment. We need to get Fiona in there, and she needs to plant a bug. And Vance is like, that's too risky, but Ben was like, we have to take the, how else are we going to do this? We have to take this risk. And I guess Fiona, they didn't show them talking to Fiona, but apparently she was down with it, because then we see her go to the building where the man who's been talking to the doctor about, get everything up and running, she goes and has a meeting with him. and she drops her pen, and when she drops her pen, he bends down and gets it for her, and she plants the bug so in his office so that she can hear everyone he's speaking to. So that's how they, get that little piece of inside in there. So then, once she plants the bug and everything, Vance, they get information from her. They get information from a phone call that the gentleman makes that's been working with the doctor to do the experiments. And so they're like, okay, well, we can pinpoint his locations to these three towers or whatever, because they got the phone records or whatever. So they have two people. They have two locations, so they know it's two people talking. So they're trying to pinpoint where exactly it's coming from. So Vance does a search in three locations, and they're trying to narrow down which location the phones are radaring off of and everything. Anyways, y'all. So they figure out. So he gets his one of his. I guess she works at the NSA, so he gets her to do it, and he tells her, don't worry about doing the case file on it, he'll take care of it. So she narrows it down for him to a certain one location, and he was like, we've narrowed it all the way down to this particular location, but it could be anywhere in this radius. So Ben is like, well, UDS would have that information, and they were like, but we can't get to it because there's no records of it. And Ben was like, oh, Ronnie said that they were, his boss said that they were behind, and so because they were running behind, it's probably on the desk, like who's been buying properties up and everything in that location, because they can figure out like who's bought properties up in the last few months since the plane arrived, to know where that location is, like what property was recently bought. So he's like, it's probably on the desk. And so Vance is saying that's dangerous for you to go into your job. They're already probably going to be onto you, so it's dangerous for you to go into your job and find that information. But Ben again is like, we don't have a choice. Like, I have access. I'm probably going to get fired anyways. We got to make this move. So they go ahead and do make the move and everything. So backtracking just a minute. So when Fiona planted the bug, as she was speaking to the gentleman, Ben did a search on the web, and in the search he was typing in keywords like flight 828, experiment, missing passengers, stuff like that, which dinged for the gentleman that Fiona was talking to, that's over all the experimentation. Well, he's not over it, but he's kind of over from what they know, he's over that part. So when they did the experiment, he made a phone call, or he received a phone call, and so that's how they're narrowing this down and using the phone calls. And there was they saw that in 3 locations phone calls were made in all 3 locations. So then they narrowed it down, like who was in all those locations. So that's how they're trying to pinpoint who really is all over everything completely, and where this building is. So that's how they're narrowing that down. I hope I explained that right. If not, just leave a comment if you can explain that better. But anyways, so then okay, so Olive is, before Ben goes in and check. I'm sorry, y'all. That's Hershey's, the dog. So before Olive goes in, before Ben goes and checks everything, Vance tells him go on a date with your wife. So he goes on the date with his wife, and they have a nice time. Grayson and Ben have a nice time on their date. I'm sorry, y'all. They have a really nice time on their date and everything. So as they're doing their date night, you can see that they're starting to feel, they're starting to reconnect again. So it was a nice little moment there. So anyways, just to finish this part of the story out, as far as them going on this goose chase. So Ben goes to his company. He uses Ronnie's key to get access to everywhere he needs to go. To get access, I'm sorry, I'm getting frustrated. To get access to everywhere he needs to go, as far as in the building. So they were able to able to actually narrow it down and find the building where the passengers are actually being held, because they located it that way. So he lets Vance know and everything that they found it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and like wrap this up quickly. Sorry if I miss a few parts, but she's barking because he's playing with her, even though he's know I'm working on a video. So anyways, they go ahead and wrap that up really quickly about, you know, finding, sorry, I'm going to wrap it up really quickly. So they find out exactly where the building, you know, the passengers are being held and everything. So they're going to go in, and I guess they're going to set up a plan to try to get to the passengers. Jared and Ben are Ben and Michaela are really determined to find out what is going on, because they realize that Harvey told people about that he knew the plane was going to explode before it was going to explode. He told them about the visions. And the two people who have died, he told them, because there was a bartender there, and she was like, yeah, he told 4 people, I believe. He told those two, the bartender, and maybe one more other person. And so those 2 people died. So Harvey is connecting that I told them and now they're dead. And then it freaked Grace and Ben out because the bartender then died. So they're starting to worry and needing to really find out what is going on, because they've told Grace and Jared. So now they're worried that something's going to happen, because they did tell those 2. And so that's pretty much was the episode. You guys, it was just about I don't know, it was a good episode, but it wasn't like the last 2 episodes where I felt like, I don't know, I don't know what it was about this episode. Maybe I don't know. It was a good episode, but maybe, you know, I complained last week about the side stories, but maybe they need those side stories to so that when you get focused on what Ben, I guess I feel like Ben is doing a lot. Like, you got Ben doing a lot that how is this gonna play out? I guess that's what it is. I'm just like, how is that gonna play out? Because he's moving, and like, it seems like that would be over a span of episodes, but it all happened in this one episode. Like, you're gonna find the passengers, and then what? I don't understand what's gonna happen from there. So I don't know, because I would be disappointed if they got close to getting the passengers and then they moved them again. Like, I don't understand that. So y'all tell me what you think. Sorry for the background noise and everything. You guys have a great evening. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving.